Hey everybody, welcome back to another interview segment for the Stream Stand. We're here with Gabrielle Garo. She's a multi-instrumentalist and composer, and we're super happy to have her today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, how you been?
I've been good. Keeping busy and relaxing here and there.
Awesome. Are you in the city right now? Where are you located?
I'm in Brooklyn. Yeah, I've been in Brooklyn this whole time.
All right, so I guess the place to start would be your musical upbringing.
So, interesting fact I don't think many people would know is that when I was 4, I wanted to be a drummer, which is like complete opposite, complete opposite of where I am today, playing the flute and woodwinds, of course. But yeah, when I was 4, I wanted to be a drummer. My mom had me on like the drum pads, and we would do like mama, papa, mama, the drumsticks and things like that. But after a while, like I started getting more into the arts and other aspects. I did gymnastics, very serious in that as a child. And then there was a period where my brother and we were playing baseball. So I was a baseball player, not softball, like baseball. I was the only like little thing, the only little girl on the team. And I did that for a few years. When I got to middle school, that's when we had to choose what we wanted to do. Like if we were going to do band, if we were going to do dance or art, visual arts and things like that. So of course I did the band program for a few months, but then I switched directly to dance because I already had like a little background in music. I started playing when I was 9. So I had this thing where I wanted to do whatever my brother did. So of course we did baseball, karate, so on, and he picked up the flute and here we are. So yeah, I played flute. I was the child, I guess, that just did the dancing, the singing, and so on, so on. But instrumental music is what really I knew from a young age was like my A and B plan. So when I was 10, when I was 9, I went to the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music, and then I went to Juilliard, the music advancement program, and I turned 10 in that program. After that, I went to Jazz and Lincoln Center at like 12 or 13. And I was just going through these programs, the summer camps, all the other programs and things like that. I was definitely a product of these different platforms. And eventually I started gigging more professionally, and I've just been working on it ever since. And, it's a process, and here we are today.
That's awesome.
Do you remember your very first ever gig that you got?
Let me see. I remember I did a TV gig. It was Brooklyn 45 TV. Maybe I was 13 or 14 when I did that one. Then I did like CBS. Another fun fact is I had the chance to be on Disney Channel, like this Disney thing.
Are you kidding me?
Me and Ben's face, we were like, wait, hold up. Repite. Yeah. One more time.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I know, way out. So I was doing like modeling and print work and stuff, and of course that leads to like TV gigs and things like that. Of course, I didn't pursue it because it was just the setup, logistics. It was different for the direction that my life is going. So yeah, one of my first gigs was Brooklyn 45 TV, where I was playing flute. I did a couple after that, and I remember one of my first like real paid gigs was with Arturo O'Farrill, Grammy winner Arturo O'Farrill, pianist. That was maybe like 15-ish.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, just kind of kept it going ever since.
So
that's cool.
There was never ever a question that this was going to be like your career. I mean, you had a lot of other talents within the arts, but as soon as you started landing these professional gigs, did you know that like this is going to be my life? Like this is what I want to do?
I knew before then, like before I even started the gigging and things like that. I knew a little before then that that's all I wanted to do. I think it was probably 9 or 10 years old. I was like, this is my A and B plan. This is all I want to do. I would just walk around the house and I wouldn't stop playing at all. And it was just something that strictly compelled me and I wanted to grow in. And I always knew it was going to be a process. You know, none of it was easy. It sounds easy to talk about now, but like none of it in general is going to be easy necessarily. So I've been committed to facing whatever shall arise.
And so I know one of the schools that you attended in your, I guess, is it around high school? Is the Harlem School of the Arts?
Yes.
Was that is a high school, right?
So so for high school, I went to LaGuardia.
Oh, okay.
And Harlem School of the Arts, for me, it's a Saturday program, and they do offer like classes during the week. So it's like an after school type of program, but they are a great organization. I've met so many people there. I've grown so much there, so many opportunities. Playing, I did some TV gigs with them too, and playing at different galas, where I was with Alicia Keys and like Nick Cannon and just various artists that have been a huge blessing. And so I'm just so extremely grateful for them to this day. And they took a group of us. We were the Harlem School of the Arts All-Stars, and they took a group of us to Florida to gig like 2 years in a row. So that was definitely a pleasure to be a part of. And they keep growing. So from Mr. Eric Pryor to Miss Yolanda Wins and many individuals there. And I was able to receive lessons there as well. They're definitely a program you got to check out, and they're growing. They're just getting bigger and bigger. And
I just wanted to see if you could expand on like LaGuardia and what that was like, because I feel like from the outside, like I know for me, I'm from Colorado, so when I think of like performing arts high school, it's not very like we don't have very many where I'm from. So I'm just curious to know. And I did watch Fame, just let FYI everyone. I did watch Fame. So I'm curious, like what was that like?
So a lot of people did watch Fame, and I think people kind of looked at us as though like, you guys don't do anything but dance on tables. And I'm not gonna say that didn't happen, because it definitely did. But LaGuardia has been known to be a very prestigious school academically and within the arts. So they have definitely pushed us in every aspect. It's truly amazing. I mean, being a part of like different minds. And at the time, we were even younger than what we are now. So to see the creativity that was already established in most of my peers and friends of such. And so when I was in middle school, of course, I was applying for high school, and I knew that LaGuardia was the only one I wanted to go to. And of course, you can't just apply to one school because, you don't do that. So I applied to other schools, and fortunately, I got into LaGuardia. And from there, we had different art classes. So we had our academic classes like in the morning before lunch. And the thing about that is that your lunch period could be between 6th, 7th, or 8th period. I mean, 4th to 8th period. So it depended on your schedule. It would be one of those periods where you'd have lunch. And you would just kind of have your academics closer in the morning, and then towards the afternoon, you'd have more of your artistic classes. So everything was very straightforward in a sense. Everyone has different personalities, like I'm not going to say everything was like a walk in the park, because of course in high school, we're all discovering ourselves. We're discovering what we want to do and how we want to go about portraying that, and also thinking towards college if that's the route that we wanted to go. But one thing that I can definitely say was that I definitely grew in various aspects. So we have this talent show, like one of the biggest talent show for LaGuardia. It's called Rising Stars, and I was able to be the musical director for that. And that was like a huge thing. Of course, I got a lot of insight from the other professionals. And that's the thing that I liked, was that they had grown professional adults working with us and kind of mentoring us throughout different processes. And another memory that I have was doing In the Heights at LaGuardia. And Lin-Manuel Miranda and Alex Akamori, they actually they worked with us on it. So it was as if we kind of just represented the Broadway in LaGuardia. Like the stage if you could see it, honestly, it was amazing. Like the stage, the thing that the tech crew and everyone was putting together, it looks just like a Broadway. Like everything felt very on point, and like just like with a level of like prestige to it, because that's just how attentive to detail they were. And of course, Lin-Manuel Miranda was working on it. That's his, you know, his creation. And Alex Akamori worked with us in the pit, like with the band and everything. And that in its own was like a huge blessing, to even just have that insight and to be around literally like very heavy, you know, just heavy hitters like that. So it was very cool. And I'm thankful to have had that in my journey.
That's so awesome.
Did you ever feel like an immense amount of pressure at that school, or did you ever feel like it was like a nurturing environment instead of a competitive? Like what was the vibe there?
The vibe was, amongst all of us, it was like you have different personalities just going to school, but also going to an art school, speaking on my behalf. A lot of us were very, I'd say, how do I explain it? Like, say, for example, you're walking down the hallway and you hear people just dancing like in a circle. And like at the time they called it like getting light, just like different dance moves and things like that. It turned into a party in the hallway, and it was something that everyone kind of mutually just knew to join in on. So I would say there was a community amongst us, but also in high school is where like I did, and just during, outside of high school, but just during that age range, like I did just experience like sexism and things as such. Like that was a period of my life where, you know, I knew it was gonna happen. I knew, you know, but that's when I was dealing with just being a Black girl, but also just being a girl, period. And so that was definitely like an eye-opening period through my life. And of course it still happens today because life, but being that young and kind of putting up these walls to not let anything like that break you down is definitely what I was maneuvering through. I would say more so towards the end of high school, especially like my last year of high school. So you do face a lot of different things. I wouldn't necessarily say like all of us collectively were one way. I don't think you're ever gonna find that in a place. But all in all, like it's still something that I'm very grateful to. I'm very grateful to even have experienced part of the sexism, to be honest, because that has made me who I am too. So
I'm still thinking just about like everything you said so far has been super amazing. You're just an amazing person. So thanks for sharing. Yeah, so we talked about the Harlem School of the Arts. We talked about LaGuardia. Would you like to talk a little bit about like what brought you to the new school and how you ended up in that part of your educational journey?
So what brought me to the new school was then, of course, like leaving LaGuardia. I'm thinking about going to college. I knew I wanted to experience that next level, like a part of my journey. So going to new school, I applied. I didn't apply to too many schools. I just knew I wanted to stay in New York, so that already narrowed things down significantly. And then also thinking of who had like a flute program, like who were taking flute players, not just saxophone. So New School definitely was one of the schools that, of course, contributed to that and was accepting of that. And I got in, and I've met wonderful individuals like you two. And I've definitely learned a lot throughout New School, and just trying to maneuver through being in college and trying to pursue a career outside of school.
So would you say, because you also do play all the saxophones, did you have to do that at a necessity, or did you pick up saxophone along with the flute?
I picked up saxophone when I was about like 14, because I was playing with Arturo O'Farrill. And he also had a youth program at the time, aside from like just performing with him professionally. So I was a part of the youth program in high school, Afro Latin Jazz Fat Cats. And that's when I realized, because I was playing more flute at the time, of course, because I'm primarily a flutist. So, but then I knew just being in a big band setting or any kind of ensemble, that doubling was a little more essential to me. And in a way it is, because when you build up doubles, meaning that you play flute, you play saxophone, you play clarinet and things like that, that is something that when you're trying to progress, and even it opens up your opportunities too. And also going back to LaGuardia, when I did In the Heights, I was playing flute, piccolo, alto, sax, tenor sax, and soprano saxophone. So working on doubling since I was like 14 definitely helped me being in LaGuardia and throughout my experience, and even professionally today. So it was something I wanted to do from a younger age.
So we all met in the master's program, and you and I did the jazz program for our undergrad, but what kind of led you to do the master's program in business and entrepreneurship? Because you had such like an already booming performance career. Like why get this extra degree? Like what was drawing you towards that?
For me, I never saw it as like, I wouldn't say I looked at it like it wasn't booming, but I just always, like, for me, I always look at it as like, what's next? Or like, there's just so much work I got to do, you know? I never dwell on what has happened or what's happening. I always try to think of what's going to happen next, and that, you know, this opportunity is cool and all, but like, I'm not where I want to be yet. So applying to the master's program was something where I definitely knew I wanted to get more insight on the music business. I knew I didn't want to get a master's in jazz performance because at the time I was already getting an undergrad degree, a bachelor's degree in jazz performance. And, you know, that's a whole other subject. So I knew I didn't want that. And I knew I wanted to expand my my knowledge on the music business. And like I said, like when I was in undergrad, I was already working and doing things. And I remember touring with Christian McBride, Grammy winner bassist Christian McBride in Europe. I learned so much from him. It amazed me because it was something where it's like, I'm learning so much in this like maybe 5-minute conversation from Christian before we go on stage. Than maybe like what I could have been learning in some classes, truthfully, in school. And not even just in particular with new school, it was just school in general, you know? So I already knew I wanted to expand that. I knew I wanted to learn more about business management, about entrepreneurship, and there was already a program that existed with both of those titles in them. And I already knew that I was gonna learn so much, and for a fact, I was right, because being a part of the master's program that we are all, well, I wasn't, but you guys are in currently, I think that was one of the greatest decisions that I've made. And
yeah, I'm glad because
you got a master's and you're getting a master's. Like,
right. Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to have a class together. Otherwise, I wouldn't know who you are, but well, I'm sure I would have heard of you, but didn't know I did. Yeah, personally, yeah, I would have been like, yeah, I went to school with that girl, but didn't know you.
So happy to know you guys.
I really would like to hear about like the musical settings like you like the most, like being a musical director or playing in a big band, and then when you put together a band, how do you go about choosing that?
So I'm trying to touch on every part of that question.
Mm-hmm.
So I like being in all settings, to be honest, as many settings that I can be in as possible, whether it's musical directing, or even just like studio work, performing, and so on, because they all offer different things, different aspects, components, and I think they all kind of tie in with each other. I think so. When I was musical directing, I was putting together a band too, so that's connected. It connects on the outside, and I was arranging, I was composing. And that connects in how I think about music, aside from like strictly, you know, directing in the moment. Meaning that when I was putting together my recital, for example, in a sense, I was musical directing too. And I already had experience with that in LaGuardia. So they all kind of tie in to one another. So I love just getting an experience from various settings. And when I was putting together my recital, or just even putting together any gig in general that I've done, I'm always thinking about the vision that I have. It's kind of like painting a picture in my head. I'm thinking about the audience. I'm thinking about like the demographics of that, just like the age and everything, and the age range and everything else with that. I'm thinking about what they might want to hear. And not necessarily saying that I am playing strictly just as a part of that, but you know, I do believe in playing for others to receive a message, not just playing for myself and the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 musicians that I ask to play with me. So I think of the audience a lot, and I think of what songs I want to play, whether they're my own compositions or arrangements, or if there are songs out there that might be popular today, and just kind of throw them in, you know? And when I'm thinking about the musicians that I want to play with, some of them, a lot of them happen to be individuals that I've already grown a relationship with since we were like much younger. Like my brother, Matthew Whitaker, he was in my recital, and he's from Harlem School of the Arts too. We've grown so much. If you could see him now, we always joke about like, I used to be taller than him. So like, that is how long our relationship has been. And having that relationship is like knowing when to catch each other. It's like being a team, and it's like you build teams with various other individuals, musicians. And I love having that on stage. And I'm also thinking about when I'm asking these individuals to perform with me, and for us to create together, I want all of them to shine. You know, it's not just about making me look good and doing what I say. It's that we are now a team, and our objective is to create this beautiful project for others to love the same way we do. And so, yes, like I said, I'm always thinking of ways for them to shine. I want you guys to see how great they are and why I ask them to play with me, and vice versa. For you guys to see the raw chemistry that we all have and things like that. So for example, you mentioned my recital too. So for my recital, I wanted that to just scream at you guys in a sense. I wanted you guys to see the fun that we have and just the way we create together and how well we know each other musically and personally, because it all kind of stems in together when you're on stage. So it's all a big, it's like, it's a party in a sense, you know? Creating with people you love, and even people you may not know as well yet, but just seeing who they are as well.
I guess now we've talked about, you know, the choosing of the musicians, like what you like to do in that regard. But when it comes to like choosing music to play or maybe arranging and composing, like how do you go about that process? And if there's anything like specific about, you know, just making music, writing music, arranging that you'd like to share with us?
So when I'm on a gig, so when I'm thinking of choosing music for a gig, for example, like I said, I'll think of who the audience might be, meaning like if I'm playing in like Miami, for example, because I've, you know, performed there a few times, I'm thinking of what the audience might look like. What the age range might be based on the type of event it is. I'm just thinking of all these things, age and just everything else. And not that that necessarily, it's not a huge deciding factor in anything. It's just I like to be a little considerate in certain regards to that. So I'm thinking of, if I know this is the South Florida Latin Jazz Festival, I'm thinking that, I'm going to throw some salsa in there, for example, because that is what the festival is. And that is people who are coming to see it, they want to hear what the title of the festival consists of. So that right there is already a deciding factor, So I'm thinking of whether it's music that I've written in that style or just the popular tunes, because I know they're going to know them. It's always just thinking of what the event is, what the title is, what the background of it is. When they explain to you, like whoever's hiring you at the moment, when they explain to you what it is, you start getting visuals and you start building this picture in your head. And I just like to pay attention to particular details like that. And when I'm arranging in general, I love to think of just different colors on a palette, like how they blend, like, when you mix red and blues, how they make like a nice purple and things like that. So I'm always thinking of how lines form together like that, how they blend with each other. So in that regards, I'm thinking of harmonies. So maybe if I have this trombone line, how well it might work with this flute line. And if I want it to be higher, if I want it to be lower, for example. It's kind of like mixing and matching until you find like that beautiful blend of a color that you're creating.
I guess through all that experience and even like working with like Christian McBride, as far as some of the advice you picked up on that, like that's kind of insight that nobody gets to hear. So is there anything that like sticks out maybe from him or from other groups that you've gotten from these band leaders that has just stuck with you this entire time?
Of course, there's so many things to say. And I just feel like every aspect, even being on a tour bus and just that whole experience is just advice in its own. It's a lesson in its own. I know for a fact, I remember there was this conversation amongst like various others, but I've been thinking about it a lot during quarantine in particular because of, the obvious. We all had opportunities set up and now, they're kind of on standby and whatever everyone's situation is, So Christian and I, we were in Amsterdam and I was doing homework because of course I left when it was like going right into finals. So, other people out exploring, but I'm like with Christian, his manager and so on at the time. And I'm just sitting on the table doing homework while they're talking and stuff. We're all talking and I was telling him about like this one particular opportunity and this particular artist or just the aspect of opportunities, period. And he was telling me the main gist of it was that it's going to come to you. You visualize in your head what it is that you want, whatever that opportunity may be, and just know that it's coming your way. And that even if it may not come in this shape or size that you've envisioned, that some aspect of it is going to attract you and it's going to come to you. And that it's something that's always resonated with me and just in general, just the aspect and lessons that I've learned, just growing and not focusing on what someone else's blessing looks like, what shape or size or anything, and just strictly believing, being grateful, thankful, and everything else like that. And don't let these other things derail you, whether it is sexism, whether it is a form of racism, whether it's any kind of discrimination, or whether it is just anything that you are going through. You don't let that take you off track of what your vision is. So, yeah.
Thanks, Christian. We feel you in the room. Well, I guess like going off of the opportunities that you've had, I was wondering if maybe you could talk to us a little bit more about your Grammy experience, like how you got into that and just the different things that you've been able to do through the Grammys.
Yeah, so I started out with the Latin Grammys first because I've been a part of the Latin Grammy Cultural Foundation. I've been a scholarship recipient of them. So that means that out of the world, literally, they only choose like 40 individuals. I've been so grateful to be one of those 40 individuals for about, I think like 4 or 5 years in a row. And so through that, I've been an ambassador for the Latin Grammy Awards, and I went there. And the last year that I went there, we're in 2021, so that was in 2020. I was performing throughout the week, and I was in the Grammys actually, in the Latin Grammys, and presenting with Ricky Martin, and we presented Album of the Year to Rosalía.
Y el Latin Grammy es para Rosalía.
En serio, estoy en shock.
Fantasía, Sebastián Yatra.
Música es mi vida.
Es mi inspiración.
Es mi poder de expresión.
Muchas gracias y felicidades.
And it's funny because at the time, of course, I was in the master's program too. So my mind was just thinking like, wow, the way they built that set and the lights, the way they're hanging. And meanwhile, everyone's like, oh my God, Ricky Martin, and oh my God, Ozuna, and just different things. And I'm like, wow, the way those lights are just, and they have like 30 seconds to move the set. It was just like different things. So that's already an example of how the master's program was already like programming my mind and enhancing my thoughts.
You were in production mode.
I was just thinking about all of those things. So I've been a part of the Latin Grammys for maybe 2 or 3 years, 2 years. And then the Grammys came separately. Like that was a whole other opportunity. So I think I might have told you guys separately before that I got my wisdom teeth taken out, like all 4 of them. And that was maybe 2 Januaries ago. So I went through the whole holiday season just dealing with my wisdom teeth. Actually, for my recital, my left side was bothering me. So I had to do like a lot of home remedies to get that under control. So I went through a lot before my recital. And then that following, my recital was in April. So that following January was when I was facing that, these things need to come out of my mouth right now. So when I went through that whole process, I went to go through surgery and everything. But that night before I went to surgery, I get a text. And it was like, hey, girlie, you want to play in the Grammys with Lizzo? And meanwhile, I had a new phone at the time. So I was like, is this spam? And also, I was on like, medication and the drugs or whatever. So I'm like, am I reading this correctly?
You said, is this spam?
I was like, this isn't funny. I'm already going through enough as is. But yeah, so of course I was like, yes, I'd love to, responded, and like we got that set up. So of course the next day I got my wisdom teeth extracted, and 2 weeks later I was playing with Lizzo in the Grammys, and that was a beautiful experience. She is a beautiful person. She is literally the same you see online. She is like that same humble, just heartfelt person. And Karen, I know or maybe Ben too, you've seen it, but like, I know Karen and I joked about the video that I did with Lizzo where we were playing together. Like, she is such a great and genuine person. too, because we had a little soli. It was 3 of us that were playing flute, including Lizzo. So we had a little soli in the Grammys during our selection, and we had literally created that soli maybe like 5 minutes before we recorded it. And so meaning we all composed it together and we played it. That was like one take. That was a very raw and genuine take. And it was a beautiful thing to see, a beautiful thing to be a part of, and just being at the Grammys and seeing like Erykah Badu and so many others. And it was funny. I don't think I ever told anyone, but I was just like casually in the bathroom, and like Ariana Grande is like fixing her dress, and she looks at me, she's like, "You're so pretty." And I'm like, you know, it was just like, you know.
It would have been like,
She's a little flustered. She was fixing her dress, and I'm like, "You're fine," and things like that. And it's just like, you know, and I'm not thinking about it in the moment, but it's like, you know, when you leave the situation, you're like reflecting. I'm like, wow, yeah, I just had that moment. And just walking by so many people, it's funny, it's cool, and it was just something I'm so grateful to have experienced. And yeah, and I think recently when all of you, the 3 of us, did the first interview, I was about to do that Grammy event. So 2 weeks ago, around maybe like March 9th, I did a Grammy event leading up to the Grammy Awards, and it was virtual, and we were just speaking about education and everything, and a lot of different artists like PJ Morton were a part of it, and her, I remember walking past her backstage too. So it was nice to kind of have that other like kind of connection again. And I should be so grateful for these moments, but I'm always like just thinking of like, you know, what's next? And like, that's cool and all, but like, you know, keep it moving.
I think it's so funny because all of us are in school, and clearly like a lot of us follow Lizzo on Instagram, and then that pops up and you're not in school, and we're like, is that where Gabby is right now? Is that Gabby?
I literally like
yeah.
the semester. And as I
I remember I saw it.
Yeah, I got off the plane and I saw that she posted the clip, and like people were tagging me in it, and I'm like, I'm on my way to school right now. So it was
oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember I don't even remember. I think we were in class virtually too. It was like before pandemic, but we were still in class virtually. And I think I was like on Instagram, not paying attention to class. And I saw a girl that looks just like you playing the flute, wearing the same sweater that you were wearing in class. So I just sent it to you jokingly. I didn't even think it was like actually going to be you. I just like sent it to you jokingly, being like, this you? And then you were like, yeah, that's me. And I was like, oh God.
You know, it's funny because I was looking at myself, and I'm like, you know, I'm looking at the video, and I'm just like, I look down, and I'm like, I'm the same. So I was like, yeah, girl, that's me. It was like in between like a full-on serious lecture. I don't even remember what class it was, but
yeah, I don't know, but I was not paying attention. And then I sent it to my friends. I was like, look, I know somebody who played with Lizzo.
Let's see.
I think some of my friends followed you on Instagram. So nice. You have fans now.
Cool. Point them out to me. I'd love to see them.
I will. I'll share their profiles.
Okay, so we had to talk about it eventually, but COVID.
Yeah.
So how has COVID affected you, your art, and like what are you doing to like forge ahead through times like these?
So you know, so after the Grammys, I went back to school. Excuse me, I knew a hiccup was gonna pop up. So I went back to school, and then I left again to go back to California to work on another project that I had to sign an NDA for. And while I was out there in March, of course, you know, I had to leave at some point. So I was doing class more virtually at that time too, actually, for like maybe at least a week. And then COVID hit, and then it was declared that we are now virtual for the rest of the semester. And at that time, I didn't know how serious it was. I was like, cause cool, you know, maybe, yeah, I could do school, finish virtually and everything. But of course, it was much more serious than what we were thinking at the time. So eventually I had to leave California before they went on lockdown, which I literally left like the day before they went on lockdown. And COVID, of course, just like all of us, it has taken away so many opportunities and so many things that I felt were just going to be like the next that next step for me, where, you know, and but it is what it is. And I've had some virtual gigs, especially like in the beginning, where I was like learning how to fix the angles for the clips and make sure my flute's not cut off. So that's definitely been stuff that I've worked on. A lot of video editing, maybe a couple videos you guys have seen too, where I just have so much fun video editing. I didn't even realize. So, and I bought Final Cut Pro. So I've been doing a lot of video editing. I've just been doing a lot of virtual recording. Gigs like the White Plains Jazz Festival. I've done like interviews and panels with like Paquito de Rivera, legendary Grammy Award winning saxophonist, and just so many virtual things. I've been teaching with Jazz Lincoln Center, which is still one of my jobs that I've thankfully been able to keep throughout quarantine despite the pandemic. Just taking on so many things, composing and arranging. Last time we talked about like more of the compositions I was doing, stuff like that, and this being one of them. So this is Godzillas Gift, and we had mentioned Joel last time, Joel Ross, a wonderful individual and artist, yada yada. So this is a song that I wrote when I was about like 9-ish or maybe a little younger, before I really knew what notes were. If you could see the page, you know, yeah. So basically Joel kind of gifted it back to me, and this is a piece that ended up on his album, Who Are You? Check it out. So that's cool. And then I've just been doing a lot more arranging, composing, like I said, and just working on other studio projects, things like that, and also recording with Matthew Whitaker, I mentioned earlier, for his new album coming up, and just so many things. And of course, for all of us, nothing is the same right now, but it's also just trying not to dwell on that aspect and working on how to keep things going and keep our sanity and, you know, just stay positive. So quarantine has, in COVID, you know, it's been what it is, but we all, you know, we're gonna make it through it. And I keep saying it, but like, keep it moving, you know, the best way you know how.
On the album, do you play on that album as well?
On Joel's?
Yeah, sorry.
No. That's with his band. So this became like a small kind of arrangement, and someone actually he gifted it back to me for what he calls it. It's called Gato's Gift. I don't know if I said that. He calls me Gato, and he gifted it back to me, so then it became Gato's Gift. And so on the album, it's with his band, and it's a beautiful rendition, very nice. And he added to it too, so it became a beautiful project that we worked on, and we've done our own gigs as well, and recordings too. So that's been really cool.
That's really sweet. That's like,
I know. I like that you have it framed.
Yeah, it was a birthday present, so I was like, this was just a blank wall, and I didn't want to put my degree there because, you know, obvious reasons. Like, you know, I have it, so I don't want to put my degree there. So I was like, you know what can I put to cover the wall? And, you know, me, I could be clumsy, so I don't want to destroy the actual gift. So I was like, let me frame it. And that just happened. It matches a chair, so.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Aw, I love it. So I guess like thinking about everything that you've been through and just, you know, the panels that you've spoken on, the students that you teach, for our listeners, what, I guess like what advice would you give to maybe like up and coming, you know, students, like women in jazz, students of color, like people navigating these spaces, you know, because traditionally and unfortunately they are predominantly white. So I'm just wondering, like, what advice would you give to somebody who maybe is in, you know, the path that you've paved, and like, what advice would you give them?
Well, I would definitely say that no one is you. And we hear that a lot, in that the fact that no one is you is that's your own power right there. Do not worry about these other outside factors that will try to derail you and take you off of your track, off of your journey, take you out of it. Do not let those outside forces interfere. Do not worry about the shape or size someone else's blessing looks like, whether you want that too, you know, because we don't know what that person went through or whatever. That's a different story. The point is that it's not us. It does not pertain to us. But also be happy for others. That's a great thing to practice, I feel, in life, with your own peace of mind and just exuding the great person that you are. And just work on putting your voice out there, telling your story, figuratively and literally, and just being the person that you are in the best way that you can be, because we all come from different backgrounds. We all come from just different outlooks, different upbringings and everything. And that right there is our own tools, our power to create something beautiful that no one else has really seen or anything like that. And you are important, you know, you are very important. And we do need your voice. There's a lot of that just goes into it. And please, I already said it, but please, like, I just emphasize, stay focused on your path. Do not let outside things, sexism, any other form of discrimination, just do not let anything interfere with what you have to do. There's so much that I could say about it. That's its own conversation, but that's a little bit of what I would definitely relate to someone else, for sure.
Thank you. Gabby, you can enlighten us with any like other hobbies that you might have, or talents that we don't know about.
I feel like this leads into the artwork.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about the artwork, because that came up last
we have
time,
to,
and we can't miss out on this.
We have to. So please, Gabrielle, like, please, we know you have this hidden talent that you haven't discussed yet. We know you're about to be in MoMA after this one, so like, please show the audiences.
You guys asked me a great question like during the first interview, and I think you said that if I was not playing music, what else would I be doing, or just what other career path? And I told you that I'd probably be an artist, like a visual artist, because my mom always thought that if it wasn't music, I'd go to LaGuardia for art. And she's always been like artistically inclined herself. She used to do lights and stage in New Orleans. She's from there, in the band shell. And she was around Wynton Marsalis and the whole family before they really became who we know today. So needless to say, I'd probably do art. So let me show you.
She has it.
So yes, I kept trying to figure out where a piece of art was that I could show you, because there was this one time that I drew it was a door cover. I was maybe in first grade of kindergarten, and it almost looked exact. I'm not gonna toot my own horn, but it was pretty. It was looking pretty cool. So this piece, so I did this piece.
Oh my God.
I did this when I was in kindergarten. It says I was in class K 116, so kindergarten 116, and I just did all this. This kind of looks a little blended, I'm not good with makeup or anything, but it looks a little blended. So from here, I started with this piece right here. This was its own separate project, and this was based on a field trip we went on, and we had to draw from the best of our memory a figure that stood out to us. And I think I drew this because we went to it was like an aquarium. It was somewhere in Park Slope. So I drew this, and I had to build a little city around it. And all these are
dang, you put Brooklyn in the middle of Manhattan.
And my little cars, I wish cars looked like this today. I mean, I guess they can with the green wheels and stuff if you want it like that. But yeah, this is something I did in kindergarten. And yeah.
I like the school bus. That was a good touch.
I love it. That building, I'm like, I literally, the one that goes like this, like it's curvy. I don't even know how to do it with my hands, but literally I see it like, yeah, like I'm like, yeah, like that's real. That's a real building.
Yeah. So that was cool. I love that moment when we like discovered that. That was cool.
Yes, for our massive audience. No, I'm just joking. We recorded this before. We tried to record this before, but it didn't work out. So this is our round 2 of Gabby's interview.
Take 2, yes. Yeah, so how much are you selling the piece for? Let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very fun. I think throughout I think in school we all had a thing where we were just doodling. So I feel like that's always been just a part of my mind and just the way that I think. And to this day, I'm very visual. So even like understanding something or getting an idea of, I'm very visual. And when I guess I relate things like how I've done to like the colors and the color palette in a picture. So I guess that all ties into it. But yeah.
Awesome.
Super cool. Yeah. I had a lot of those go through. I had to mute myself.
That's okay. And Karen, how's the flute going?
Oh, well, first of all, I haven't been able to like leave and go get it fixed, but this upcoming week I have plans to take the flute to get fixed because I would fix it myself, but I don't know how. Like, I don't know what to do to make the note like not actually like have the flute here if you want to hear it. Do you want to hear it?
Yes, I do.
Hold on, it's so bad.
I'm supposed to do a trio with Ben.
Oh yeah, our trio.
I know. Oh God, here we go. This is the real test. Now I'm like embarrassed. Don't judge me.
This is exclusive content, viewers.
No, this will go on. We can put this on Instagram. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm like feel like I'm being tested because she's like watching me. Watch. Ready. What'd you say?
No, I was gonna tell you something to play, but like you do you.
Oh no, watch this. You can't hear it.
I hear it. Hot cross buns. Yes.
So I don't know. I just think it needs a little tune-up.
That's okay. But that was good. I'm excited when you told me I was very excited when you told me that you got a flute.
Yes, but I'll send you more flute videos once I get this thing checked out.
I've been playing a lot of vibes throughout quarantine too. That's been cool.
Yes.
I've been working on my doubles, of course, with like, sax and everything else. But yes, and piano and definitely vibe. So that's been really cool. You've seen, well, I don't know if you've seen it, but I have a video out there where I'm playing vibe.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
And I was so proud of how I video edited. That was my greatest video editing project. Yeah.
We'll put it in. We'll put it in here.
I think I'm more proud of video editing than actually playing. No, but it was a great song. It was beautiful. The way it even came about, that whole composition was amazing. So yeah.
How did that come about? Sorry, I had to dive into that a little bit.
So let me see. Because that video is myself featuring Joel, actually. So he was playing something on piano, and he was just like just playing casually, you know. And I just started, I guess also the way I compose is that I just hear melodies. So I was hearing a melody, literally, and that became the melody that we expanded upon. And he was playing, and of course the vibes, I wasn't just gonna run to the back to get my flute or anything. So the vibes were right there in the living room, and I just started building more and more of the song while he was holding down the progressions. And from there, we built like a whole arrangement and got the video camera and the angles going on. And it literally happened in like within 5 minutes. It was amazing. So yeah.
I love that.
God, whoa.
The song itself, the composition, not the whole.
Oh, okay.
Video. Yeah, the song itself.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the song itself happened in 5 minutes.
Yeah, like thanks for sharing your background and everything. And I already know that people are gonna love your interview, so I'm excited.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm so happy to hear. I was already said before, but I was very happy to hear how you, your capstone has come about and just what you guys are doing. I mean, this just is really cool. So
yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm gonna like wrap it up here, so for video editing purposes. But yes, thank you so much, Gabrielle, for taking time to sit with me and Ben and stream stand to let us know about your musical journey. For everybody watching, please donate to our artist fund. Everything we collect through the artist fund will be distributed to all the lovely people you are witnessing through our interviews in the next few weeks. And yeah, stay tuned for more.
Thank you both so much.